We're talking about how to protect your energy.
When I think of the average person that gets burnt out or has anxiety or all these things, they almost think that like it's normal.
We see things that we think give us energy when we're down, when we're low, when we're heavy, when we're what. Why do you think we turn to those things?
If you are allowing yourself to get in tune and amped up with everybody else, you may be exposing yourself to different types of energies, and you may bump into people that, who knows, maybe they don't have the best intent for you.
We know about a quick hot cold shower that can actually change the balance of how we're feeling immediately, or particular breathing patterns that could change how we're feeling immediately, right?
If you cannot enjoy the experience of life, if it is a battle zone or a heavily depressive, just awful place to live your life inside your mind, I would really recommend you kind of pay attention to this.
I'm burnt out. I have this anxiety, this depression, like all these things that are happening. And then I go consume some movies, right? Or consume some entertainment or eat some bad food or drink, or right? Like, and I go do these things. And then it's this cycle of things that are stealing our energy.
Everything is energy. What is your take on that statement?
100% agree with that. Wholeheartedly. Their energy comes in all types of forms. If an atom is moving, then there's energy associated with it.
Welcome to the Good Life.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. I got Stu here with me. Say what's up, Stu.
What's up, y'all?
Kobi is in the building also.
What's going on?
And as always, I'm Chris, guys. Hey, we're diving into how to design your life with extraordinary health, wealth, mindset. As always, find us everywhere you listen and watch: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you are. Leave a comment, hit the like button. Got another good one for you today. As always, we're diving into some mindset stuff today, and got none other than Stu. Stu, we need to hear from you, man. I feel like it's been a minute. We haven't heard from you, and we need to get some mindset talks going today. So what are we talking about on the show, man?
We're talking about how to protect your energy, which you speak of mindset, and it's so crucial, and it's a big part of what I do. And I think this energy piece is a lot more metaphysical than most people typically think of when they think of mindset. When we originally think of mindset, we think of what's the inner dialogue? How do we talk to ourselves? Like, are we able to make ourselves go to the gym 365 a year? Like, that is like the more logical, rational side of it. This energy piece is kind of different, and it's actually it's very strange for me. If I were to look back 2 years ago, I don't think I'd really think I'd be talking about energy on a podcast, and I don't think I'd be speaking on it as a professional. But how to protect your energy is crucial. And I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is literally for everyone. Like, who is this for? It's out there. There are particular individuals that we kind of classify as highly sensitive individuals, or a highly sensitive person. HSP is a term that goes around. And really, another way it's identified is empathic. What's up? The trigger words got you?
No, it's not the trigger words. It's the fact that we have an acronym for literally everything now.
Everything.
That's hilarious. HSP, everything. Highly sensitive people. Got it.
Yep. And there's so many, they come up with these all the time. There's so many different reasons why somebody could be like a highly sensitive individual. For me personally, I don't really care why. I just know that I'm very in tune with like what's going around me. Like, it could be, the classic labels of ADHD or anything else. Could be perhaps some extra percentage or two farther along in the spectrum than most. Who knows? I don't really care. What I do know is it's important, if you feel like you are particularly sensitive to the things around you, you got to know how to protect your energy. There's, amen. There's so many ways that people can be affecting you, right? So, the different types of people around you, the shows, You know, it could be different energies, moods, behaviors. These all have an impact on us. And if you're a pretty sensitive individual like myself, you may be overwhelmed at a younger age when you go into a social situation until you learn how to calm your nervous system down. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the nervous system today. I may go into that a bit at the end. We'll see if we have time. But I want to go ahead and just talk about the concepts for those who feel like they understand the idea of energy, but they haven't quite figured it out, and they have a really tough time finding peace of mind and enjoying their life experience in general. So why is this important? As you go through your life, you have the opportunity to really just live out your days any different type of way you feel like. I mean, you could be just doing things, going with the flow. You could be following some predetermined path that a parent or a teacher or society has given to you. But no matter what's happening, your peace of mind is, in my opinion, one of the most important things when it comes to living the good life. If you cannot enjoy the experience of life, if it is a battle zone or a heavily depressive, just awful place to live your life inside your mind, I really recommend you kind of pay attention to this, because your peace of mind is important. And when you begin to identify how different sources of energy around you, whether it's what you're watching, what you're listening to music wise, who you're spending your time with, when you can identify that those things are affecting you, you may begin to realize that you're not messed up. There's nothing wrong with the way you think. You might just be in a room full of assholes. That happens. Been in construction, know how that goes. And there was a time where I felt so overwhelmed and affected by the things around me that I would question who I was and how I felt, when in reality, I was just trying to be somebody I'm not, or I was trying to show up with my energy level. I typically have received awesome compliments of being like a very good natured person. I'm thinking about others. I take people into consideration. You may not always be around those people. And when you're not and you feel like an outcast, this is very important to figure out what could be affecting my energy level. How can I protect it? So really, this is all about making choices to feel your best rather than beating yourself up when you don't. Recognizing that you have power over this. You're not a victim. So there are different sources of energy to keep in mind. One, I've already touched on this. What do you watch? Kobi, Chris, we talk about consumption so much. What you watch is pivotal to this. I am the first one to get incredibly squeamish, to look away from the screen when there's gore or just ridiculousness on the screen. That stuff stays with you. You literally can be traumatized from what you see. It's one of the reasons why we don't let kids go to certain ratings of movies. So if it exists at such an egregious level with a certain amount of gore, if you feel like you're a pretty sensitive individual, you may want to be paying attention to how frequently you watch certain types of things. What type of music do you listen to? Are you listening to music that's combative, super intense, very fast-paced, and negatively charged? Because these types of things may keep you in that combative, negatively charged, fast-paced sense. So when you go to wind down, you may find it tough if you're frequently listening to these types of things. You may question yourself. Well, guess what? Maybe it's the stuff you listen to. And finally, the most important one is the people you're around. This could be family. This could be acquaintances, coworkers, people you just happen to bump into from time to time at your local bar or art gallery, wherever the heck you spend your time. You have control over these more than you know. One example I'm going to get to at the end of this on how to identify the people that are around you and separate your energy from theirs and protect yourself a bit is called zooming out. So stay tuned for that. When are you most at risk to have your energy impacted? Well, that is 100% when you are under the influence of some type of substance. We're talking alcohol, marijuana, just literally whatever it is. If you are under the influence of something, your guard is down. We've all heard inhibitions get lowered, etc. That's why if you go out and you're at a club, we like to get amped up with a lot of other people. It's easier to get amped up when everybody else is around you and everyone's had some drinks, etc. It creates an atmosphere. Well, if you are allowing yourself to get in tune and amped up with everybody else, you may be exposing yourself to different types of energies, and you may bump into people that, who knows, maybe they don't have the best intent for you, but you're not at your best level. You may not be making the best decisions to protect the different types of energies that you have, which is what we're going to go into next, the different types of energy. So how could somebody affect you on an energetic level? Well, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and in some of the worst cases, physically. So what do I mean by this? If you're continuously surrounded by a bunch of very angry people, you may eventually notice you begin to become more angry. The things that someone else has been bothered by, you may eventually be bothered by these things. If someone is repeatedly putting you down, or just puts people down in general, and you spend time with them, do you really think you're impervious to this? Some of you may be, some of you may not be, but at least being aware of it and being able to identify, like if you feel really down around a certain person, it is your right to decide just how often you want to spend your time with this person. Now, another one that we may not really think about in terms of energy is the financial piece, but don't get me wrong. Money is 100% in energy. It gets exchanged for all different types of energy all over the place. Chris spends a lot of time exchanging time, knowledge, wisdom for financial energy. There's a big ROI in going into that. Kobi is doing the same thing with his time and energy. Your physical gain, your like spiritual gain in return for financial energy. For me, it's a little bit of kind of all the above. But if you spend a lot of your time, especially out being inebriated, like, trust me, been there, done that, you can be taken advantage or impacted financially by these things. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this, but I think emotionally and spiritually, when I say the word energy, are probably the two that resonate with me the most. So for the empaths out there, if you're looking for peace of mind, if you're looking for really any type of feeling, be aware that the people who you spend your time with, Jim Rohn quote, average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, they are going to rub off on you. So the same thing goes for what you watch and what you listen to. And you can protect these things by basically taking space, taking time out of your day to recharge in an isolated container that you feel comfortable with. Or if you're really lucky, spend more time with people that really resonate you. These are like 2 very basic fundamentals that I don't think can be stressed enough, especially for the young men and women out there that are so desperate to go out there and climb a social ladder, that want to prove different things to individuals. If you're out there trying to prove something to your family or to your boss or to your community about how great you are or how successful you are, you're putting yourself in a position to prioritize an energy drain on your soul in order for you to appear a certain type of way. So I really want to bring this up because how you can protect yourself is by beginning to prioritize your peace of mind. How do you want to feel? What situations, when you step back, allow you to feel a certain type of way? What people are there? What shows are on TV? Is TV even necessary? But we'll leave that for another one. What type of music do you listen to? What do you read? This everything. What is in your atmosphere? Because if you spend time reflecting on this through meditation and journaling and just time alone, you can begin to identify, man, maybe my head isn't the problem. Maybe it's what I'm surrounding myself with. And you can begin to protect your energy by simply analyzing and taking time away, trial and error. It's that easy. So the very final piece that I want to leave you guys here with today is a visualization exercise that I call zooming out. So whoever's listening to this, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to imagine the last time that you were around some type of negative or chaotic energy. It was a person, like there was this person was tripping. They were either tripping at you or about somebody else. And you just really didn't like the way that this was disturbing your peace. Now, in that moment, you may have felt yourself wanting to react, especially if it was at a personal attack to you. So what I'd like you to do is imagine them as a separate individual to the level of clarity that you can see what they're wearing, you can see what they look like. Now go ahead and zoom out of yourself. Imagine you're looking at the two of you from the corner of a wall, like a fly on the wall or a camera. You can see both of you. You recognize that this individual is a totally separate body than you. You're not the same. Now, the level of chaotic energy that they have in this moment, go ahead and imagine it like some type of whirling cloud, this storm around them. This is coming from inside of them. This does not have to go inside of you. This is something that you give permission as to whether or not you want to resonate or feel that type of way. Whether you like it or not, you give permission as to whether or not you are going to feel that type of way. Acknowledge the fact that they are the source of this energy. It is swirling around them. It is up to you whether or not that energy and that cloud go towards you. If you have a tough time as an empath separating yourself from what's happening around you and from the certain type of feelings, allow yourself to make it a visual. We're such visual creatures, we cannot always comprehend things like energy or a vibe of a room. But if you can begin to identify, hey, that seems chaotic or that seems negative, I'm going to look at it with this type of imagination. I choose to not emulate that in this moment. I encourage you guys to play with that next time it comes up. Love to get your feedback on it. I know it's worked well for myself and some others as well. But gentlemen, that's what I've got today. Happy to hear your thoughts.
Super helpful exercise right there. You know, I was doing it for a little bit, and I could just see how that could definitely impact not taking on not just someone else's energy, but all the energy around me in a particular circumstance. And so I appreciate you sharing that. I had a kind of like three things I wrote down, and I actually, you know, would suggest like we do a little rapid fire here of like 30 seconds or less of just answering these three questions real quick, each one, and then we can keep rolling if we want to. You guys down for that?
I'm down for it. Let me get my stopwatch here.
All right, bet.
Stopwatch.
So, you know, the question is there a wrong way to protect your energy? That's number one. Is there a wrong way to protect your energy? And number two, you know, how do you know your energy is under attack? Like, how do you know your energy is under attack? And then three is everything is energy. That's a statement. What is your take on that statement? All right. So is there a wrong way to protect your energy? How do you know your energy is under attack? And everything is energy. What is your take on that statement?
All right. Is there a wrong way to protect your energy? I can't think of one in this moment. I think if you were to try and actually, no, I can't. If you were to try and protect your energy by shutting someone else down, I think that is wrong. I think some people may need to be distanced. Perhaps if there was some like violent altercation, you would want to really stop somebody from expressing that. But that is a very delicate one to play with, that probably if somebody's just really upset, you don't need to shut down or encourage them to repress their emotions. You're not helping them, but who knows? Maybe it's a total stranger and you have to take care of yourself. So that's probably the closest one I can think there. Question number two, what was that one?
How do you know your energy is under attack?
In general, I don't think energy has a intention about it. If someone is super chaotic or angry or upset around you, the energy itself, that mood, won't necessarily be intentionally attacking you. It is like ripples in a water. If there's a lot of waves over here, it's just natural. So I wanted to go ahead and express that because not every time someone is going to have a certain emotion will they be trying to attack. But I think you can begin to identify if your energy is being like massively disrupted, if all of a sudden your nervous system is going haywire. You're feeling a lot of like just firing up of your body. It could be a very fight or flight type feeling, almost as if the same feeling you would get when you're on stage about to give a speech. Things that make you nervous. If you begin to feel very nervous or agitated, take a moment, breathe, center yourself. We've talked about box breathing enough. Just calm your breath and ask yourself, where is this energy coming from? Is it coming from inside of me? Is there something going on? No. Let me look around for a moment. Okay, it seems like it might be coming from this person or this show or this music. I think that nervousness, identifying that, questioning the source, whether it's you, and then looking outward is how you can identify if it's under attack or etc.
So, Stu, 30 seconds or less, brother.
I know, dude. I'm not good at this.
Yeah, that is not rapid fire.
I was about to say, where's that?
That is not rapid
I was
fire.
like,
That's not
Where's
what
this
got
stuff?
put down very quickly.
Yeah. All right, third. Let's try this again. Third one here. Everything is energy. What is your take on that statement?
100% agree with that, wholeheartedly. Their energy comes in all types of forms. If an atom is moving, then there's energy associated with it.
Big facts. Chris, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you off the hook on the rapid fire stuff, but I do have a question. Like, I do have some questions, just even on the back end of that question. The real question is how well do you think people understand energy in general, Stu? Like, when you're talking to people, like, do people grasp energy from like kind of like a from a spiritual realm, like an energy side, or do they think of it like this thing is draining me personally? Like, how do people in your experience think about energy typically?
If you are trained in numbers, engineering, sciences, you think of energy as electricity or something along those, momentum, some type of physical thing that you can see and measure. If you are not, most people are way more open to all different types of answers with it. So I think in general, most people are not aware. I would say actually most people are aware of energy in this context, not scientists.
Got it. That makes sense. I was kind of stewing on the why is this important, right? Why is this important? And I think always like framing up the conversation of why is this important, right? Why is it important to protect our peace, to protect our energy, right? Like, what is it? Why do we have to go about this? And I'm sure people have lots of reasons why they feel like things are draining them, or they have, again, less energy about things. But go back, Stu, and just tell me, like, why is this important? You mentioned peace of mind, but for most people, even though we might say they want peace of mind, I don't think people really know that that's what they want, right? That's not what they know that they're like actually striving for. Why do you think this is so important for us to even have this conversation about energy and protecting it?
Well, Dana on IG just brought up a great point: blood pressure. Your health is incredibly affected by the levels of stress that you go through. I'm a significantly more healthy person now because I have removed myself from situations that would just repeatedly overstress me, cause me anxiety, give me shallow breathing, like to the point now where I've gotten so good at it and I've cultivated a life where I found my peace, where like this guy took my blood pressure and he looked at me like I was fucking insane. He was like, do you have any stress in your life? So your health and your longevity. And then final piece, if you don't want to burn out with all the responsibilities you have in life, you have to find a way to reset. And in my opinion, the best way to reset is to spend plenty of time having a peace of mind. That is your retreat. So you can go back to a stressful set of responsibilities.
That's huge. And it's funny because as we're talking about it, and as I think about this, when I think of the average person that gets burnt out or has anxiety or all these things, they almost think that like it's normal, right? Like it's a normal reaction, like it's normal stress or normal day to day. And then what's always funny is the way that they try to, I guess, relieve themselves of that is by consuming things that don't give them more energy, right? That take more energy away. And I don't think people understand that relationship, right? Of I don't have the energy, right? I'm burnt out. I have this anxiety, this depression, like all these things that are happening. And then I go consume some movies, right? Or consume some entertainment or eat some bad food or drink, or right? Like, and I go do these things. And then it's this cycle of things that are stealing our energy. And that's when I think about like people just not being fully aware of like energy and what's actually happening. So I think you answered my question, but that's kind of where my train of thought was.
Well, just a quick feedback on that. Like, I think it is the norm to not live in peace of mind in our current society. I think it's rapidly shifting. I actually want to go ahead and thank there are, in my opinion, few pros, but there are some pros to the internet and social media and just this constant consumption of information. We haven't been able to almost counteract traditional education and prioritize things like peace of mind and happiness, which is not really something that is drilled into us.
Yeah.
What's drilled into us is results and money and having a certain amount of things and just all kinds of this other BS. Where if you go back to like us as borderline primates, we're chilling. All we need to do is eat, sleep, reproduce. We're good. That's all we need. Why do we come up with all this other stuff? So the norm is not peace of mind, but I think we would all be much better served and we would raise much healthier kids if we understood how important peace of mind really is.
I agree.
Could not agree more. And Chris, your line of questioning kind of goes along with my line of questioning a little bit. And that's, how do you, when you hear energy, what do you think? And I think it's pretty important because language really, in a lot of ways, actually creates the boundaries within which we have reasonable thought or thought as we know it. If you speak Mandarin versus if you speak English, your actual boundaries of thought are different. They're legitimately different. The things you consider as real, the way you see things, the paradigm within which you actually perceive how the world functions is very, very different. So how you think about this concept when you hear how to protect your energy, what images are formed in your mind makes a big difference in how you actually go about doing this stuff. Energy is something we talk about quite a bit in Solid Food Vacation Juice Feast because it took me a while, but I finally got to a place where I realized, oh, this all really just comes down to energy. And you mentioned, Chris, or both of you, I don't remember who said it, but turn into things that actually deplete us of energy, thinking that that's what we need to re-energize us. And it's something I thought about for a long time. So I guess my question for you guys is why, and both of you, why do you think that is the case? Why do you think that we get to a point where we see things that we think give us energy when we're down, when we're low, when we're heavy, why do you think we turn to those things? Why do you think we turn to food, we turn to drugs, we turn to heavy television, we turn to things? What do you think that is? Where do you think that comes from?
I got two answers. Marketing, convenience. Marketing in the sense that we have been classically trained to think that if we're not thinking about work and responsibilities, then inherently we must be off. We must be relaxing. So if we're not thinking about how stressful or how lousy our day might have been because we're watching this really intense movie that has us totally fixated on some other world's problems, cool, I'm not thinking about my problems. I must be relaxing. False. I think there's a lot of money to be made in the film industry, video games, and all other kinds of stuff, and as well as just social conditioning to think that I don't want you to think about what sucks in your life. I just want you to keep doing it because you're making money. So marketing, social conditioning will be the first one. Second one, convenience. It is way easier to sit back and just consume something, just lay on the couch rather than meditate, exercise, journal, eat well, prepare your own food. It is just easier to check out and escape. So naturally, escapism, for those who are not aware of how damaging it is to do it repetitively, becomes the easier thing because it taps into convenience. And because we're depleted on energy, we feel like we don't want to put in any more work.
Makes perfect sense. I would add to that, because I agree with both of those. I would add to that it's just that chemical dopamine hit, that instant gratification, that thing that we feel like we need, right? Again, we don't think about things long term. We often think about what I need right now. Right. So when we're going through those lower moments or those moments, right, mentally or physically or emotionally or right, any of those things, we turn to the thing that we think can help us right now, right? The quick fix, the quick dopamine hit, the quick band-aid, right? Like it's just the way we think about things. We don't understand that it's over the long haul. It's the right. It's the way that it's the longevity. It's where we want to go. It's where we're trying to get to that actually will make us feel the way that we want to feel, right? The things that we're looking for, the happiness, the fulfillment, the peace of mind. That's what we want. Those things come long term, right? Those things don't come right away. They're not the instant things, but we as a people, as a society right now, I'll say, we want the instant gratification things. We want the things that, right? They satisfy right away. That's why we do it.
Yeah, I would agree with all three of those things. And in addition to that, I would add, I think it's a lack of knowledge as well, because I think, for example, dopamine hit can be satisfied with things that aren't necessarily detrimental, right? But do we know about them, right? Do we know about a quick hot cold shower that can actually change the balance of how we're feeling immediately, or particular breathing patterns that could change how we're feeling immediately, right? So those things could be. So it's a lack of knowledge. My people perish, and then I think it's also satisfying. We're working a lot of the times. We're working against our programming. We're working against gravity. We're grinding against the instead of being in flow, we're out of flow. So we're forcing against the gears. And then when you're doing that, when you're rolling the stone uphill so often, forcing the gear and pushing them, all you want to do is just let go. All right. All you want to do is let go. And these things have noticed that, well, these industries, like you mentioned, marketing, all that stuff, have noticed that and are saying, hey, let me give you a place, a way to just let go. Right. And we just keep going in that direction of just letting go, when you could be in flow and not feel necessarily that you need to let go. So I think, maybe that comes down to the knowledge as well. And then the third thing I see is that we are also programmed to be in harmony, and part of that is that when we're living a life, a monotonous life, a life of like consistent repetition of doing the same things over and over again, as human beings, we're programmed to crave variation. Right. So we actually just want to switch it up, but then we can't really think of anything to switch it up with. So we just say, okay, well, I've been doing A and I know A, B, C. Okay, so let me do B or C. All right. So it's a lack of like creativity. So I think about it this way. I was talking to my parents and I was like, man, like, there's really, they were telling me that, yeah, there's really nothing to do. Like, if you don't drink, right? If you don't drink and you don't necessarily like to go out and eat, your things to do with people are very, very limited.
That's very true.
Very limited. And my parents don't drink, and nor do they really enjoy going out to restaurants like that. They prefer to cook at home. They don't, they don't get that. So they're like, well, like, what else is there to do? Right. So I think, kind of the way our life is set up right now. And honestly, sometimes I feel that way. Not sometimes, a lot of times, right? What else is there to do? Right.
Especially when we go on a solid food vacation juice feast, right? Then it's like it really starts kicking in. Like, what else do I do? Like, what else is there?
What else is there? Exactly. Like, what else is there?
Yeah. Having been through it, I basically feel like my options are, if I want to see other people, I can go out and watch them consume things. That's pretty much all I can do. I can watch them drink. I can watch them eat. But I'll just sit there and be like, okay, cool. That smells really good.
It's like watching kids play video games these days, right? It's the new wave of eating. It's going to be the new wave, right? We just watch it.
Dude, I can't watch other people play. I got to play.
And I mean, to real quick though, even if you're not on a solid food vacation juice feast, how many options do you really have? I don't want to overlook that. I don't want to overlook that piece of it, right? Because it's not that may let you come to a realization.
Sure.
But even if you're free to do whatever it is you want to do, you got A, B, or C. I can't even think of a D.
Yeah. Now here's the kind of funny part about this is as a single guy, when I'm on a juice feast or when I'm like trying to save or just not like indulge in things like that, it is tough to come up with date ideas that don't involve all that stuff. And like literally there are professional dating coaches that do nothing but just rack their brain on like what are all the things and the options I could provide to my clientele that are sober or that are vegan or that are whatever that they feel like they can't just they don't want to take women on these certain traditional things. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. It's
So let
very
me
interesting
ask you,
how limited it
if you
feels.
don't have that restriction, if there is no restriction, what do you do?
Rollerblading, paddleboarding, going for a walk, silent disco. There's
So
just the most
if
random
if
assortment
there
of
is no
things.
restriction, that's what you do?
Oh, meaning
If
like
there
if they're like,
Yeah, if there's no restriction, like
yeah, you can pick anything.
you can do whatever you want to do.
without okay, there's no restriction.
Yeah,
What context? Like if I'm on a date or if I'm just going out to have fun, like what?
my point is that it's not within the solid foodification juice feast context that there isn't much to do
Right.
out there. That's kind of where I'm trying to get to. I'm not quite phrasing it correctly. If you understand the question, one of you feel free to rephrase.
No, I get it.
Chris, I defer to you.
No, it's just the fact that regardless of if it's a solid food vacation juice feast or not, there aren't options, right? Like you only have A, B, C, right?
I mean,
That's what
there
you're saying.
are. It's just they're not popular, they're not well known. Like you really got to fucking dig for these other options in today's society.
But in general, right? Like there's not outside of eating, drinking, and what's it partying, right? Club, but that kind of involves drinking. Mm, Outside of that, like what are what other date ideas, what other things are you really doing, right?
Oh, I
Most
could
things.
rattle off a list right now, but I can tell you that 99% of people have no idea these things exist. And I
I
wouldn't
think
have known
that's
it.
more of my point. That
Okay.
last part right there is more of my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last part. It's like, what are the popular options? The popular
Right.
options are A, B, or C.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more of where I'm going. And if
Thank you,
you
Dana, for providing a nice girl for me. I'll have to touch base with you.
and if you are,
Dana the matchmaker. Sorry.
I'm not seeing any of these comments, but it is what it is. Nothing new on Instagram. But shout out Dana. I can't see anything you're putting on here, but hey, love you the same. But if you're, for example, my parents who are not about to go paddleboarding, they're not about to go roller skating or rollerblading, for fear of their hips. I mean, like, so they're looking left, they're looking right, like, so we eat or we drink. That's what people they know do. You eat or you drink. And if you
Movies.
don't drink, you get the weirdest looks. All
Yeah.
right. Are you sure you're having fun? Come on.
Why don't you? Why don't you do alcohol? Why don't you do heroin?
I won't talk to anybody. Why don't you do heroin? Oh, I don't know. I'm not going out.
Depends how far you go on that one, right? It's like, why don't you do that?
But no, it's even for that's on a dating scene. Chris, I'll pick your brain a little bit on the married scene, right? Like,
Sure.
I find days where I'm like, goodness gracious,
Yeah.
we limited out here.
Yeah, when it comes to like the dating stuff, right? Like it's limited. It's limited, right? Like me and my wife, we have business talks and conversations throughout days, right? So that becomes a little bit different, but like in general, still not much out there. Still not much,
Drink or eat.
right? That's it, right? It's really the way it goes. So
is this a new industry? Is this something we should consider here? I mean, you said there's a dating coach out there, but is there I also believe this is why Starbucks became so popular. They besides the coffee, their coffee, it's all right, it's cool, but it ain't
It's
not
not.
great. All right, thank you. I didn't want to be the one to
You
say
could say it.
it. But providing a place for people to come just sit for a second or walk in where you don't need to get a whole thing. You could just show up. Hey, you want to meet at Starbucks? Hey, you want to do this? I was like, man, that's huge.
Totally.
I'd love to see more of that. And I feel like there's a whole, if you're married and don't have a child, you're very limited. And then you have a child and it's like all around the child and all
that's
the
where
you can take a child.
That is where, when you're married, normally younger without a child, that's when you explore. That's when like the stuff that Stu's talking about really does come into play, right? Like I remember the whitewater rafting and the the excursions and the zip lining and the
My guy said, I
traveling.
remember those days.
I remember those days.
Back in my day.
I remember those days, guys. Good old days of being young and married without children.
Oh my gosh.
But for real, that's when you have the options. That's when the options are there. As you as you get into it, it's a lot, full circle. It's a lot of energy to do those things, right? It takes a lot of energy to plan a bungee jumping trip, right? Or just up and go whitewater rafting. You know what I mean? Like with all the other things in play, right? It's tough. That takes energy. That takes mental energy. It takes time. It takes resources, put things in place. It's not as sporadic and like up and go. So
yeah, sure. But you know what
there's good news. There's still bridge. There's still Batman. You're good to go, brother.
You know what is?
I'm trying to get to what's it? Croquet ball? What's it? What's it called?
Croquet.
There we go.
I love that.
I ain't gonna lie. Shout out Florida, croquet. You know what I mean?
But
there's you know what is easier? A little TV show here, a little drink here, a little food here. So this comes full circle to the energy piece, right? I think there's like not just two sides of energy. I think there's like four sides of energy, right? There's, and I think what happens is, as Stu, you said, marketing convenience, but the convenience piece, the hype on that convenience piece. What happens is like you expend energy, you want to be refilled, you want to be recharged, but then the things that could recharge you with a positive lean, like, is it convenient? Is it fat? Is it like, it's just not, it doesn't seem to be within the grasp, right? So then we turn to the things that are quick, cheap, right there in front of us. And then we beat ourselves up later because it takes a toll even more. I see this like deathly this loop that we have us in, and I don't quite have an idea of how, because I'm all for the journaling, the meditate. I'm all for that stuff. But let's be real. That's not a quick charge. That's not like, it doesn't quite fit what people are looking for. That's the long-term sustained type of thing that is gonna, no question, is gonna pay off, right? And I'm all for it. Like literally what my business is about. However, I also recognize that when you are tired from work, you've been beat up for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours by your boss, you come home, you gotta cook, or at least help cook, and even take care of a little one, and you're doing all this stuff. It's like life is working you. You know what I mean? Listen, it ain't the time to tell a person, go meditate. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. And it's just, I struggle because I'm looking and I'm like, man, there's a huge thing missing here. Do you guys see where I'm going with this, or am I just like beating something to death here?
Absolutely. So I talked about the different types of energy earlier. Let's make an analogy to financial. We all know that saving a little bit here and there, or investing a little bit here and there, Chris can attest to this. Eventually, that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. But it's not quick. Everybody wants to get rich quick. Everybody wants to get peace of mind quick. Everybody wants to get six-pack abs quick. And I think you've really touched on it, dude. Like there is this instant gratification piece of either our anatomy or our society or some combination of these things. It takes discipline. It takes seeing results over a long period of time to finally give you that emotional justification for not going after the quick fix. And even then, you'll still fall back to the quick fix every once in a while.
Follow-up question.
Do I have 30 seconds or more?
You got a little more. And Chris, you can even jump in on this.
Yeah.
Do people want the six-pack abs, or do they want the feeling associated with the six-pack abs? Do people want the money, or the security and feeling that comes with being financially secure? See, that's my question first and foremost. And if the answer is the feeling associated with it, that's when you get, some people, Christians to the South will call it Satan. Other people will call it whatever they were going to call it. You get it swiped. You get, hey, listen, this good thing gets you there, but you could take the shortcut and still get it there, although it may not last forever, but who cares? You're really tired. Do you want it or not?
I know the way I always believe that people want the feeling behind it, right? They want the perceived feeling behind it, right? But absolutely that, like, people want the six-pack, the guy wants the six-pack, a woman wants a six-pack for whatever that means to them in their life, that they're significant, that how they get viewed, how they get perceived, right? Their spouse loves them, or whatever the case is. That is the feeling that they're looking for. If they receive that feeling another way, they would still be fulfilled, regardless if they had the six-pack. I believe the same thing on the money side of things. On the money side of things, I don't think money is the goal for people. What you believe money will do for you is what the goal is what you're after. You believe that this money will do XYZ. You believe it'll give you a feeling of security. You believe that. You believe, right, that this money will bring you prestige or fame or whatever it is that you're looking for by saying you want to be a billionaire, right? Whatever that means, it's really just the feeling that you're going to get. It's not the actual money. So I believe that wholeheartedly, that it's the feeling that people are after, not the actual thing that they think it is. That's why it's so hard. You got to peel back those layers so much. When you think this is what I want, you got to really figure out, like, well, why do I want that? You've ever heard that? I don't know, it's like an analogy or something, or they tell you ask why 3 times to get to, like, a person's real feeling. That's kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, well, I want to be a billionaire. Well, why? Right? And then someone's going to be like, so I can do all the things that I want. Well, why? Like, why is that important to you? Right? And you keep going down that path. And I don't think people do enough of that. Back to something that you said, Stu, is we have to take time to ourselves, right? We have to take time aside, set time aside, right? To be with ourselves, to ask ourselves those types of questions. And I think that stuff is incredibly important.
We're on the same page.
There we go. Cut the noise.
Cut it.
Cut the noise.
Gosh, the more I think about this stuff, the more it goes deeper, man. I realize that, like, man, peel back the layers. You got to just go into silence to really figure out a lot of this stuff. And it may not even just be figured out. It may just be just letting it go. Who knows? I don't know how it's going to play out, but I know it ain't going to play out in the noise. Right? That's going to amp up whatever anxiety you're feeling. That's going to amp up whatever lack you feel like you have. That's going to amp up whatever void you feel like exists.
It's true.
Agreed. I really do think it is chasing the feeling. I like how you even stress the perceived feeling. I think a lot of people, when they talk about their goals, like they're really consciously just thinking about that washboard six-pack. And then the deeper you get, the more you begin to realize, like, man, they just want to feel a certain type of way about themselves. They just want to feel desired or admired. Um, so yeah, it's certainly an interesting piece. I like how journaling has been a really big kind of topic for today as one of those, not so much a quick fix, but more of like a long term thing. So I always find it really challenging as a coach to get my clients to journal. Journaling seems to be so rare. So what I wanted to do real quick is I wanted to kind of just talk about a couple of journaling facts that Ashton was great enough to bring up for us. So
Let's
based on
go,
research
Hembo.
on Hembo, are we going Hembo? I'm so down with that. Or we gotta come
I
up
don't
with
know
something
if Ash,
different.
I don't know if Ash appreciates Hembo, but I feel like she would, I feel like she likes baseball. She would appreciate it.
She'll appreciate the shout out regardless, right?
Let's go.
Perfect. So based on a research in New Zealand, it found that 76% of adults who spent 20 minutes writing about their thoughts and feelings for 3 consecutive days, 2 weeks before a medically necessary biopsy, were healed 11 days later. Meanwhile, 58% who had not journaled had not yet recovered. So something about writing this out allowed 3/4 of the group to heal before 60% of the group that didn't. So I think that's pretty cool because really, I always struggle to get people to do this because I'm like, look, I literally, as a professional, resisted journaling for 2 years. I get that you don't want to do it. I get it sounds stupid. I get all the things above. But this is something that once you do for a period of time will literally change your life. Apparently, also in another study, individuals with mild to moderately severe asthma or rheumatoid arthritis who wrote about the stressful life experiences associated, they actually showed a dramatic improvement in their lung function after 4 months of writing about it. So, what is it about writing stuff down that actually soothes us? It heals us. And I think it's fascinating. I've got a couple of answers. I'm curious what you guys might think.
I got something for you.
Bring it on.
First, it's how do you get them to do it, and then second, why it works. Right. First, how do you get them to do it? You create a religion, and you tell them that God came down, right, and God gave His only begotten daughter. And if you believe in the daughter and you practice certain things and you do it with full faith, you're gonna get the result. And it works. I'm dead serious.
I
it works.
believe you. I think I
it-
also just realized you'd be a great cult leader because that was well done on the spot.
Guys, you got when you look across the board of all religions and cults and whatever, you see the same thing. The only thing is, did somebody use it for good or somebody use it for quote unquote what we consider evil? Because I believe this is why I believe those that believe that this stuff is woo-woo and doesn't work, but yet will believe in something like journaling. I'm like, do you not see that they're the same? Right. And then folks who will say, hey, this is the only way it works, and don't believe in the other part of it. I'm like, do you not see that they're the same? It's just whichever one you choose to hold on to. Right. But the same thing that gets that medical result, it's the same thing that gets somebody cured of cancer once they pray to a certain level of faith. I believe it's the same energy. All right. You call it whatever you want to call it. You believe whatever you want to believe based on your background, etc., and how you've experienced life and whatever has worked for you and whatever has come out. But to me, they're kind of the same. It's the same energy, right? And science may be able to see we're 3 blind mice here. Science will put it in one language, right? Religion will put it in another language, and so-called it will put it in another language, right? Because
we'll all fight about it.
Yeah. So that's my take right there. And how do you get people to go ahead and do those things? You put it in terms in which they feel like the world is going to end if they don't do it. And something or someone that they have no concept of touching, of whatever, has ultimate power over them is going to smite them if they don't do it. And they'll do it. And they'll do it religiously. Straight up. it's and it's not that I'll be a great cult leader. It's just that like I've paid attention to how people work, and I'm just like, this is insane. And also, I get how people engineer this stuff because it's like people literally won't do certain things unless you put it in a certain context. They just won't do it. You're muted, bro.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna let that sit anyway. I could have stayed muted for all that, right? Like at the end of the day, that was it. Like it's so true though. Like that's how people operate. Once you learn people, once you understand uh how people work, how psychology works, how human beings work, right? Like you can understand how to get people to do anything, right? Or why people do anything. So yeah, that was the answer, man. That was the answer.
So basically, fear propaganda and or creating a religion. I mean, I think that's honestly it's how we've moved the masses for centuries, thousands of years. I mean, I agree, and I think I don't want to do that as a coach, but it really is so powerful, man. Like everything is turned around in the past 3 months, and
Yeah.
there's a heavy correlation to how much I've been journaling.
fear fear is prevalent, but the journaling aspect, I think getting clear on thoughts and getting things down, I think is important, right? It's important. And how do we get people to do those things? Again, it's a risk and reward type of thing, right? It's a fear, a punishment and reward thing, should I say? Right? That's it. You figure out what motivates people. Is it most people are motivated by fear though? That's it, right? But there is uh the praising side, or like the encouraging side, but most people operate the other way. So that's how you become effective. A lot of fear runs a lot of stuff. So
And I'll tell you this, you start narrowing it down, and there's only really a couple colors in the rainbow. Like, we can package it however we want to package it. By the end of the day, yeah, I'm not going to necessarily do that either as a coach. However, I think a lot of effective leaders find a better way of doing it. I don't really think it's better, to be honest. Really, I just think it's more acceptable based on the agreed upon social rules that we have right now. And hey, I'm putting this on wax right now. Somebody may find this later when I run for office at some point and use it against me. But true, use it against me. But I'm just saying, I feel like people at the end of the day have very few levers and very few buttons at the end of the day. And I would encourage. I'm trying to figure that out for myself so that I can be the one that pushes the buttons for me rather than somebody else figuring it out and pushing my buttons. So I go right. Look how quickly, guys. I mean, we talk about this in different words all the time.
right.
We talk about this in different words all the time. Look how quickly the media's figured it out. By the way, look how quickly they just shift things. Right. And within like a week, it's like the whole world conversation has shifted. Within a week. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know, man. I just look at that. I'm like, wow. We yeah. When people who've made a lot of money have also figured that out some way, somehow.
Yeah. It's just understanding people, man. It's understanding people, understanding how to move people. It's a good business to be in, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good business to be in once you understand people. And again, moving them towards the good, moving them towards the good life, right? Moving them towards like better things. So that's what we're here to do too, right? That's what we're here to do, is to continue to push people in that direction. So
Amen. And to really tie it all together to protecting your energy, we've just talked about a variety of different powerful forces out there where somebody may be trying to manipulate you based on fear, propaganda, the next thing for you to just fixate on as the near death experience. And man, this is why it's so important to protect your energy. And how do you do that? You watch who you're around, you watch what you consume, whether it's TV, music, radio, food, whatever it is. Just pay attention, analyze it, and act so you can make different decisions. Because if you don't ever try and get different data, how are you going to know what's affecting you? That's one of the reasons why we all absolutely love Kobi's solid food vacation and juice feast, because it literally gives you an opportunity to step away from all the bullshit and actually recognize, okay, how is this stuff typically affecting me in ways that I'm not noticing? Um, you know, analyze and act. What are some of the actions you can take? You can isolate yourself. You can journal about the things that what you're feeling and what the possible sources were. You can meditate, so you can get time figuring out what it's like to feel your own body. That can help with that visualization exercise of feeling your own body and now identifying when some outside force is affecting you. Finally, one thing I didn't mention before, somatic release. Cry, yell into a pillow, hit a pillow, some type of cold showers could be mentioned, exercise. Like, your body can process a lot of this stuff so you can get your peace of mind and you can come back to center where your peace of mind is located. So, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always.
Guys, thank you for this topic, Stu. What I take ultimately where I land is learn your buttons, because everybody else is trying to push them. And there are 7 deadly sins for a reason. It's also 7 layers of hell. So let's let's not these sins aren't coincidence, man. It's a lot of things tied together there. So
Absolutely. And as we're wrapping up, right? Again, same thing. This energy conversation is always important. Protecting what we need to get to the good life, right? Always protecting those things and really understanding how to protect it and how to and what even that energy looks like. So super informative, Stu. Really appreciate it. And for everybody that's listening, again, right? These are the things we're just adding value to your life, giving you things to think about so that you can continue to design the life that you want, right? So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Stu. Thank you for another good one. So that's it for us today. If you guys like what you heard, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button. Tune in next Monday for another good one. And make sure you share with somebody that would love or hate this episode, because all press is good press. Until next time, keep living the good life. We out of here, baby.
later.